Hello everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we will understand some core concepts related to payroll that you need to know as an HR specialist or payroll specialist. In the last lecture, we ran a small demo to hire an employee and run his payroll. But in this lecture, we will understand some concepts that are important within the payroll. So there are a few of them like legislative data group, legal employer, payroll statutory unit, tax reporting unit, payroll, ledger, consolidation group. So we'll see what are they. So let's see what is legislative data group. Legislative data group is a boundary within the payroll system that is country specific container that hold payroll rules, elements, balances, fast formula based on the legislation. So everything that is defined in the payroll is linked with the legislative data group. So normally we have only one legislative data group in as per one country. So maybe you have 5 to 6 legal employers inside US and you have 5 to 6 legal employer inside Germany. So in that case, you will have only one legislative data group for US and one legislative data group for Germany. Payroll automatically runs the calculations based on the legislation. It's already predefined by the Oracle, and whatever rules and payrolls you will define, you will link it with the legislative data group, and everything will be run under one legislative data group. So this is important, and you need to understand normally there is one legislative data group for one country, and everything will be containerized under this legislative data group. Either you define payroll, elements, payroll flows. Let me show you in the application. Whenever you are going to do any activity, we will go into these activities, but let me just show you. I show you in the last example as well. If I am going to run quick pay, okay. So let me select person, employee. So when you are running the quick pay, you will notice that it is, I have to, when we have cancel, when we have to run, for example, submit a flow. If we run a flow, for example, I will cover these flows and tasks in the coming lecture. So whenever you are doing any flow submission, you have to select the legislative data group. So until unless we don't select the legislative data group, for example, we select the legislative data group, then we can run the flow. For example, I can run the calculate payroll. It will run the calculate payroll for that particular payroll for all the employees. So legislative data group is very important. Let me show you the definitions. You will not need to use the screen, but just for the sake of understanding, this is payroll definition screen. This payroll name is monthly. It is linked with the legislative data group, US legislative data group. Similarly, if you see the elements, you will not need to know the screens because this is for the implementation team. But just for the definition, you will see this element, regular time, is linked with the legislative data group. So everything is linked with the legislative data group. When you will be running the processes, you will first select the legislative data group and then you will work further. So legislative data group, as I mentioned, it's very important. It's country specific. Now we come to the legal employer. This is we already covered here in the in our enterprise structure as well, that you may have legal entities. So same legal entity need to be a legal employer in order if you want to hire employees under this legal entity. Okay, so let me show you in the application as well. This is setup related thing, but just let me show you. For example, if I'm going to select manage legal entity, okay, so let me select manage legal entity HCM information. This screen is setup related screen, but you just need to I just want to show you. So now we are going to see US1 legal entity. Yeah. So when we are seeing this US1 legal entity, we are seeing we can mark it as a legal employer. If we mark it as a legal employer, that means we can hire employee within this legal entity. If we don't mark it as a legal employer, you cannot hire employee in this legal entity. Normally, you get the requirement in finance. Sometimes you have to define a legal entity for the financial purposes. They have some transactions there, and there is no employees working there, so you don't need to make it as a legal employer. So if it is not legal employer, of course, you cannot run the payroll under this legal entity as well. So let us go back to our. Then we have very important thing called payroll statutory unit. This is linked with the legal entity. It's called payroll specific subdivision of a legal employer used for compliance and statutory registrations. This is linked with the legal entity. For example, we have this we can have a case that normally a legal entity is also a payroll statutory unit. Okay, but sometime you might get a scenario that you have some employee in one legal entity, but they are being paid. You don't want to pay them from the same payroll, and another legal entity is being used to pay those employees under this legal entity. So, for example, we can see this US1 legal entity. It has its own payroll statutory unit. So this is also US1 legal entity is also a payroll statutory unit. Okay, but sometime, for example, we have in this test instance a legal entity that is not a payroll statutory unit. So, for example, financial services US legal entity. Here you can see that it's not a payroll statutory unit and it is linked with the US1 legal entity. So employees under this legal entity will be paid from the US1 legal entity. If I show you in the application, for example, we have this one employee who is hired under this legal employer, right? Financial services US legal 1 entity, right? And this one, financial services US legal entity. But since it's payroll statutory unit, it's having its own. Otherwise, it would have been thick. This screen is related to setup screen, but I just want to explain you payroll statutory unit to you. So for this employee, when we will see his payroll relationship, you can see the payroll statutory unit is US1 legal entity. Yeah, even though he is working under this legal entity, financial services legal entity, but his payroll statutory unit is US1 legal entity. So that means when we'll run the US1 legal entity payroll, it will run also the employees under this legal entity. Okay. So this is for the reporting and grouping purposes. And let me show you. And then we have tax reporting unit. This is grouping used for tax reporting to government bodies, usually used mostly in countries with tax reporting requirements. This is normally linked with the legal entity, or it can be independent of legal entities as well. It will be already done by the implementation team, and you just need to select the tax reporting unit. You would know it. In the last example, we also saw when we were hiring a test employee, we just selected the tax reporting unit. You would know, being a payroll specialist, that which tax reporting unit is linked for which legal entity, and you just need to select the tax reporting unit. So let us see. For example, I have made this shown this example here. You have one enterprise like your organization, and you can have one legislative data group for one country managing all their legal entities. And so one legislative data group we have for all the different legal entities inside the one country. And you can have one legal entity which is a PSU, and you might have under this legal entity different legal entities which are not PSU. So for in this example, you can see legal entity, it has PSU, and it has two legal entities under it which are under this PSU, right? And these two legal entities can be legal employer, and they can be tax reporting unit as well. And there can be tax reporting unit independent as well for this legal entity. Yeah. So this is now clear with regards to legal employer, legislative data group, payroll statutory unit, and tax reporting unit. Okay. Now we come to payroll. So payroll is used to link the employees and group the employees who will be running under one payroll. So in payroll will be already defined by an implementation team based on, it has different rules like payroll frequency, like it will be monthly, bi-weekly, payment methods, legislative data group. So all is done at the payroll level, and employees are linked with the payroll. When you are hiring an employee, you mention which payroll he will be linked to. So when we run the payroll, we select the payroll, and all the employees under this payroll will be processed. And all the other further activities, this is very, very critical. So all the further activities like prepayments, costing, payroll, whatever we are doing is coming under here, payroll. Okay. So let me show you in the screen definition as well. I just opened it. So you can see I have opened the payroll definition screen for monthly. This is a monthly payroll already defined in the system. This is linked with the legislative data group. Okay. US legislative data group. Okay, so let us come back. Then we have ledger, represents the financial accounting structure for recording journal entries, including payroll costing and transfer to GL. This is not related to UHR specialist. The ledger is already defined in the finance, and this is linked with the payroll. So if your application is using the transfer to GL, like transfer to subledger accounting processes, for example, when you run the payroll and you have to transfer this to the finance in general ledger, then this ledger is linked with the payroll. You don't need to know this as a payroll specialist. It is already done by the implementation team in the background, but just for your understanding, you need to know that payroll is linked with the ledger. For example, if you see this monthly payroll, this is linked with the US primary ledger that was already defined in the finance, and this is already done by the implementation team. Okay. Then we have consolidation group. This is used to group one or more payroll process together for costing or payment processing. So you can group multiple payrolls in one consolidation group. This is for the reporting purpose as well. And also some processes like costing and payment processing, you don't need to, you can just select the consolidation group and it will process all the payrolls within this consolidation group. So this is helpful when you have to run the processes related to 4 or 5 payroll. Maybe you have in your organization 4 or 5 payrolls and you have to process them together. So you can do it through consolidation group. When we define the payroll, we link it with the consolidation group. So this payroll is linked with this US Corp consolidation group. Okay. So this is the purpose. You can group multiple payrolls in one consolidation group. Then we have element. This is also very, very important for you as an HR specialist. A component of payroll representing earning or deduction or information. It has input value as well. As we saw in the last demo as well, everything employee is going to be paid, deducted. It has to be done through element. Okay. So we will see more in detail elements, but this is a building block for the payroll. Element, whatever employee is going to pay, deducted, or any other maintained balances, it has to be done through the element. For example, basic salary is an element. Housing deduction is an element. Insurance deduction is an element. You maybe have car loan deduction. It's an element. Bonus. It's an element. Okay. Then we have a concept called payroll flow. This is set of tasks grouped into process flow for payroll operation like calculation, costing, and prepayments. When we will go further in the lecture, we will see different processes, tasks like calculation, calculate payroll, costing, prepayments. We will see them. So using the payroll flow, we can group these tasks and run one payroll flow that will automatically run all these tasks in one flow. So we will use payroll flow. I will demonstrate in the coming lectures as well. And then we have payment method. Payment method defines how the employee is paid. Is either via bank transfer, check or cash. Let me show in the application as well. So I have opened this employee, for example, and we will go to his personal payment method. And here you will define that what will be his payment method. So you can define, for example, you already have. So you can define that what will be. Let me delete this one for the sake of demo. Okay. So you can, when you define the payment method for employee, for example, we will say 6129 direct payment method. And here you will mention is either a check or direct deposit. This is also configurable by your implementation team as per your requirement. Maybe you have wire transfer. It's either by check or either direct deposit to the bank. So let us see direct deposit. It will automatically pull this information based on the organization setup defined in the organization, and of course the country. And here you can mention other information like his account number, account type, bank details. So these are all maintained information related to his payment method, and then employee will be paid to his bank using these details. Okay. So this is related to we have payment method, and then there is also called fast formula concept, fast formula, but it's not linked with as an HR specialist, but you need to know that this is the language fast Oracle use in the background to calculate the values for each element. For example, you have basic salary coming from based on different rules like 10% for the grade of this person of this grade for this group of employees. You will use the Oracle use the fast formula. For example, you have maybe acting allowance. Acting allowance is 10% for the senior management of his basic salary. So implementers use this fast formula to do this calculation, attach it to the elements, of course, and then process it and give you the result. But you don't need to know this language. I'm just giving you an information that Oracle use fast formula in the background to calculate and the values for the elements. So this one I already explained you. Now when we see where, when, how, why, what, who concept in the payroll. So when we see where the payroll is run, it is run under the legislative data group. When it comes from the payroll definition here, that when this payroll will be run, either monthly, bi-weekly, weekly. So this is defined at the payroll level. How you submit a flow. I show you in the application as well. When we submit a flow, you select the payroll, for example, payroll, and you select the process. Like we are now running the calculate payroll. There are of course other processes as well, like calculate prepayments, archive, release the pay slips. We will see them in detail, but this is done at the flow level. So how you submit a flow? Why? Because you have to make the payments to the employees and you have to run the reports. What is you are going to what you are going to do, pay or deduct in the payroll, is done through elements as explained above, and you don't do it directly with the elements. There is also a thing called element entries. So for each element there will be element entries for individual employee. Like you have a basic salary as an element, but for one employee, each employee you will have element entries attached with this employee for this element. We will see them in the lectures, but what you are going to pay is element and element entries. Who is going to do this? Payroll relationship manager. So where is legislative data group? When is payroll definition, like monthly, bi-weekly? How submit a flow? Why you have to do the payments and run the reports, elements, and by the payroll relationship manager. Okay, now let me give you high level understanding of payroll processing. This area is where the payroll is working. Okay, so what payroll is doing, it's consolidating the salary, bonuses, commission, deduction, time entries, individual updates. The process, it's running the process like payroll calculation, taxation, payments costing, and it's distribute and reconcile like employee pay, third party payments, accountings, and tax filings. Yeah, so this is all done in the payroll. From where it is getting the data, the input is human resources. Of course, you're going to get employee information, assignment, job from the human resource. From the compensation module is also integrating with the payroll. So you have base salary, you have bonuses, you have individual compensation plans, you have group compensation plans. So all these compensation like bonuses, anything that is being done in the compensation module, it will integrate with the payroll, and it will insert an element entry inside the payroll. Any integration as an input in the payroll will be through an element entry. Okay, so compensation module, you will insert basic salary and you will insert bonuses as an element entry. Same way, benefits module from Oracle Fusion HCM is also integrating with the payroll. You can have employee benefits deduction, like he is enrolled in life insurance or any other benefit. You might have to deduct this from the employee, and it will also insert an element entry. So in this, as part of this course, we will see how it works inside the payroll, but I'm just giving you a high level flow payroll processing, how it works. So compensation module also throws an element entry. Benefit modules also throw an element entry for the benefits. Similarly, time and attendance entries. Like if you want to deduct an unpaid time for the employee, this is also coming from the time and attendance entries. So this also integrates with the payroll. Third-party transactions, of course, sometimes you maybe have rules that is integrating with a third party. That can also integrate with the payroll. So who are going to be payroll users, like payroll manager, payroll administrator, and even employee? Employee can do the individual transactions and integrate with the payroll. And what will be the outputs? You might have third-party system where you have to pay, like you have to send the file to the bank to pay to the employee. You will have general ledger entries that will go into the general ledger finance side. And you might, if you're using the cash management, you might insert the cash management entries into the finance module. I will show them in the lecture when we are running the transfer to subledger accounting and transfer cash management information to the cash management. So this is overall cycle of the payroll, but this part we will cover. Everything will come here as a part of element entry, and once we have the element entry, we will see how the payroll works. Okay, and then a high level concept, like you have payroll definition. Consolidation group is attached with the payroll definition. Like you have different kind of run types. I will show them: regular, supplementary. Payroll process is run. It is done for the employee, and you have elements attached with the employee through earnings or deduction, and there's through element eligibility. You don't need to know this, but element entries are attached with the employee using the element entries. Okay, so this is very important lecture that you understand high level what all concepts we need to know. Let me recap. LDG, legislative data group, of course, very important. You need to know as an HR or payroll specialist. Legal employer, you might have, if you have only one legal employer, two legal employer, you might have only one or two PSUs. So you will know the PSU and you will know the legal employer. You don't need to set up this. This is already set up by the implementation team, but you need to use them. Legal employer, TRUs also. Payroll, very, very important. You need to know which payroll to run. You maybe have more than one payroll, two payroll. So you will work heavily with the payroll. Ledger, just an information. Consolidation group, of course, you need to know that which consolidation group you have. Maybe you have two consolidation group. So which consolidation group you need to use. You might have three payrolls linked with one consolidation group and three payrolls linked with another consolidation group. So you need to know. Element, of course, very, very important. Which elements, what is the purpose of element? We will see in the detail, but this is very important. Payroll flow, of course, you will use it. Payment methods, you will link with employee, his salary, banking information. Fast formula is just a high level concept. You don't need to know this. So I hope you enjoyed this lecture. You got the basic idea of the building blocks of the payroll, and we will cover them one by one related to the payroll specialist and HR specialist one by one in detail. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.